Hey everyone, I'm back. My hiatus made me lazy. But in this video, I'm going to talk about Devika, who is under fire once again, the death threats sent to Orm, Fashion Week and GL actresses lenamiu, and much more. Lastly, I'll talk about Becky and the criticism around the Girl from Nowhere Reset, Girls Rule, and the hate cast is receiving, and Xo Kitty potentially erasing bisexuality. Everything is timestamped, let's get into it. I want to talk about is the Devika and Zara situation. I can't keep defending Devika, who is a grown woman, again and again. At some point, she really can't keep getting the benefit of the doubt. If you watch my videos, you know I've always tried to give a nuanced opinion whenever she's been in controversy before. I've even defended her from a lot of unnecessary hate, because yes, she does get a lot of it. But in my last video, which was only about 2 weeks ago, I literally said Devika needs to take a break from social media and stop oversharing. She herself even said she was going to take a break. But did she actually do that? Not really, and now she's under fire again because of another tweet and more oversharing. To me, this time it feels like a boundary was crossed. In this situation, it simply wasn't her story to share. What happened is that Devika posted a tweet yesterday talking about Zara and her mother's health situation. She wrote, "I want to dedicate this post to Arhoung. Arhoung is such a kind-hearted girl. She's been through a tough time in her life when she lost her mom. Now Zara is facing the same situation. Her mom is in the ICU. Zara is devastated, crying, and has no one here in Thailand as her mom is in another country. Arhoung volunteered to be with Zara, so Zara stayed with Arhoung spending the night and Arhoung took care of her. I told Arhoung, I know you're strong, can you take care of Zara? And she was willing to do that. I want to thank Arhoung so much for her kind heart and for caring about Zara. I love Arhoung, she's such a nice girl. And to all Arhoung's fans, know that we are loving exactly the right person. First of all, I hope and wish Zara's mom a full recovery and good health. Now, the problem with this post is simple. Why is a CEO sharing such sensitive information about her mother being in the ICU when the artist herself never shared it publicly? You know, why are you talking about the health condition of someone's family member? Even if the intention wasn't bad, and I'm sure it probably wasn't, it still wasn't her story to share. And the second issue is that once again she put Arhoung and Zara in the same narrative. You would think that after the last controversy, where she was accused of trying to ship Arhoung and Zara together, she would be more careful. That situation already caused a massive backlash. Zara got hate, Arhoung got hate, Devika herself got hate. So the question, have you learned nothing? Because right now, the timing makes everything even more sensitive. Not long ago, Pam and Arhoung won an award for queendom. Pam thanked Arhoung and their characters in her post on X, but she didn't tag Arhoung. On the other side, Arhoung didn't mention or tag Pam either. And the signs started showing up, it feels like Pam Ahoung could pull a Winnie Satang at any moment. For those who don't know, Winnie and Satang are a GMMTV BL pairing who just divorced last week after working together as a couple for years, and that whole situation became a huge controversy. Some didn't saw it coming at all. So, with more and more visible signs that Pam and Arhoung might be separating professionally, bringing Zara into the equation, intentionally or unintentionally, is going to be devastating not just for Arhoung but also for Zara. And Devika really needs to understand that. Even though the post was meant to appreciate Arhoung for taking care of Zara, fans are still interpreting it as another attempt to pair them together. Devika did end up deleting the post after the backlash. Then today, she posted another message saying she's going to step down from answering questions about her girls through her personal account. I really hope she sticks to that decision this time, because things spiral out of control very easily, and somehow Devika always ends up in the center of it. Another unfortunate situation happened recently when some lunatic sent death threats to Orm during Ling Ling's live selling stream for a brand. This immediately caught the fandom's attention, and people across the fandom spoke out against this kind of toxic behavior. Again, there is absolutely no reason or justification for solo fans to hate on the other partner like this. That's not how GL fandoms are supposed to work. If you're a fan of a couple, you're supposed to support both actresses. Sure, it's normal to have a bias. Maybe you like one more than the other, but it's crazy when people start hating, spreading misinformation, running smear campaigns, or even sending death threats to the other person. Like always, couple fans and even many solo fans condemn this behavior and ask Channel 3 to take some kind of action against it. Will Channel 3 actually do something? Maybe, but probably not. Other than that, overall, a lot of positive things are happening in the GL world right now, especially with Fashion Week season. we're seeing GL actresses getting international recognition, attending big events, and even interacting with K-pop idols and actresses, which is always fun to see. Namtan had interactions with Karina and Kim Tae-ri, which was really cool to see. And then we had Lingling and Orm meeting Jisoo, one of my favorite crossovers. It's actually their second time meeting her, but it still feels unreal every time. We also saw Milk, Faye, and Becky attending shows in Milan, and Freen is expected to attend the Valentino show in Rome on March 12th as a brand ambassador, which I'm really looking forward to. But right now, the real moment for me is Lena and Miu. Their appearance at Chanel during Paris Fashion Week was the most anticipated one for me. It's their first time there, and they absolutely delivered. We got so much Paris content from them, and the vibe was very love is in the air. It's making me delusional. Miu is literally not letting go of Lena's hand anywhere they go. They are doing couple TikTok trend, and at one point, Miu even introduced Lena to the staff as her girlfriend in front of her mother.
อะไรให้แบบว่า SA ในร้านเขากรี๊ดกันใหญ่พี่รู้นะ
วิวเหรอก็เหมือนแค่แนะนำว่ากลุ่มเราอะคือกลุ่มเราคือใครก็เลยบอกว่า so this is my mother and this is my girlfriend เขากรี๊ดกันใหญ่เลยในร้านอะน้ำหมิวแล้วเขาก็เหมือนเห็นพาสปอร์ตเราเขาก็แบบเฮ้ยเกิดวันเดียวกันด้วยอะแบบ that's amazing this is destiny หมิวก็บอกเลยว่าใช่ค่ะ
I'm screaming internally. They're definitely making me delusional. They also got to interact with Korean actress Go Yoon-jung, who you might know from Resident Playbook and Can This Love Be Translated. She's a rising star in K-dramas right now, so it's really nice seeing Lena and Miu getting that moment. I was hoping for Lena, Miu, and Jennie interact. Maybe next time. Another thing I appreciate is how Miu handled a recent situation before going to Paris. Someone tried to stir up drama between her and other GL fandoms. Basically, an account was using the same username as her and posting fake content, even making fake data comparisons between her, Becky, and Ling Orm. And if you know GL fandoms, you know how quickly those numbers debates can spiral. But Miu handled it really well. She posted a statement asking fans to help gather evidence. She wrote, "Since my photos and name are being used to cause dissatisfaction or conflict between various fan groups, I intend to take this information to consult with adults, legal management, to see what actions can be taken. I also want to apologize to the fan bases of other artists who have been affected by this. I truly don't want anyone to feel bad or have misunderstandings because of things like this." I think that was the right approach. Because for some reason, Lena and Miu constantly get dragged into comparisons with other GL couples, and those conversations escalate really quickly. So addressing it calmly and asking for evidence instead of letting the drama grow was actually a very mature way to handle the situation, rather than it ruining their upcoming event. Now moving on, I want to talk about 3 of the most anticipated releases: Girl From Nowhere, Girls Rule, and the XO Kitty trailer. Starting with Girl From Nowhere Episode 1. You can watch it on Netflix now. I watched it and I want to talk about it. Just to be clear, I'm not some professional critic or anything, so keep that in mind. I'm just a fan sharing my experience. One thing I want to get out of the way first is Becky's performance as Nano. I think it was amazing. I don't really have any complaints about her acting performance. She did a great job and delivered a really strong performance that's definitely worthy of appreciation. Now, yes, there is a lot of comparison happening between Kitty and Becky. I said this before, and I'll say it again. Comparisons are inevitable. There is literally nothing you can do to stop people from comparing 2 actresses who are playing the same character. I also see a lot of questions online from fans who haven't seen the original series. First, I highly recommend watching the original. It's really worth it. Secondly, many people are asking, what exactly is Nano? Nano can basically be defined as a supernatural entity. And as you know, an entity is something that has its own identity, separate and isolated from everything else. She's immortal, she never really dies, and she appears in different situations to expose human nature. Sometimes she acts like karma, sometimes she guides people, and sometimes she delivers justice. That's essentially what Nano does. Now let's talk about the first episode of this reset. Overall, I did enjoy it. There are definitely some really good elements, but there are also a few drawbacks. One thing I liked is that the reset still carries the original DNA of the series. It continues that same psychological thrill. And that actually makes sense because the first episode, titled Sky, was directed by the same director who worked on the original series. Now, one complaint I've been seeing online is fans saying that this version of Nano feels more visible and more accessible. Some people are even joking and calling it Girl From Everywhere, saying that this Nano is not as mysterious as the original. Personally, based on just one episode, I have a bit of a mixed opinion about this take. I disagree with the comments saying this feels like Girl From Everywhere just because of the scenes at the beginning of the episode. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it yet, this discussion contains spoilers. So, in the episode we have Sky, who is the victim being bullied by another student, Jom. Sky goes online and starts searching for Nano everywhere. That's actually something we never saw in the original series. In the original, nobody knows about Nano. Every time she just decides to appear as a new student in a completely different school, voluntarily. No one is waiting for her, and nobody has any prior knowledge about her existence. But in this reset, of course, there are going to be some differences from the previous version. In this case, Sky seems to have some hints about Nano's existence. Some fans are saying that this kills the mystery of the character, but I disagree. Did we watch the same episode? The mystery is still very much there, because somehow Sky is still the only one who knows about Nano. Near the end of the episode, when Jom and her friends try to search for Nano on the internet, they find absolutely nothing. That basically means Nano chose to reveal herself only to Sky so she could help him. And about the mystery aspect, I do think some of Nano's actions in the first episode were a bit predictable, so maybe that's why some fans are saying she doesn't feel as mysterious as the original. But to be fair, even in the original series, there were episodes where you could kind of predict what Nano was about to do next. Another thing I want to talk about is how, in my interpretation, this episode seems loosely connected to the last episode of Season 2. I feel like the writers intentionally added a callback or motif to link this reset with the original series, especially through the theme of hope. At the end of the episode, we see Sky forgiving Jom, even though what Nano predicted in her head was completely different. She clearly thought Sky was going to take revenge. This actually reminds me of the last episode of Season 2, titled Judgment, where Nano gets killed by Yuri and Junko. Now, what really happened there is still up for debate. Some fans believe Nano died because she became mortal, while others believe she's still alive. That's a whole discussion on its own that I really don't want to get into right now. But before the season ended, Nano said something along the lines of humans always being as evil as they have been. So is there even a need for a Nano anymore? And then in this reset, the very first episode puts a strong emphasis on hope. The hope Sky had that Nano would appear and save him. And she did. She took revenge on Jom and forced Jom to reflect on himself. She exposed him, made him look like the clown he truly is, and showed the cycle of violence from Jom's father to Jom and then to Sky. But in the end, Sky broke that cycle by giving Jom another chance. And you can actually see that Nano seemed a little taken aback by that. I also want to appreciate the performances by Bank and Sam. They really carried this episode on their shoulders. Becky was amazing as always. One small complaint I do have, though, is that I didn't get to see enough of Nano, or Becky as Nano. It felt like she appeared somewhere in the middle of the episode. I kept waiting for the new girl introduction. She shows up, does her thing pretty quickly, and then the story moves on. The clown sequence was really clever, though. I love that part. But personally, I think they should have stuck more to the original format where Nano appears at the beginning of the episode, witnesses the wrongdoing herself, and then slowly starts manipulating the situation. That format gave us more time with Nano, sometimes even seeing her warn the bad characters before things escalate into karma or revenge. Here, it felt like Becky's screen time was quite small compared to the rest of the cast. It seems like the creators decided that this time Nano would descend into the story through Sky. It's a very dramatic entry, and it does match the theme of the episode titled Sky, like a saving angel. Mind you, Nano is not some saving angel, but vibe was that for this episode a bit different than before. I'm not complaining. Another big difference I noticed is in the editing between the original series and the reset. Honestly, I prefer the original style. Here's why. In the original, when they were showing something evil or gory, it was very direct. There weren't fast cuts or crazy edits between scenes. That slow, intentional pacing really hit viewers and made the horror and tension more effective. In the reset, there are some fast cuts, which kind of made the gore more bearable for weak-hearted viewers. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a different feel, and it does change the impact compared to the original. I also saw some complaints about Becky's laugh as Nano, and I get that criticism. Nano's laugh and little signature dance are iconic, and in some scenes, it felt like Becky was almost lip-syncing it. Maybe that's partly because of the fast cuts, which made it feel a bit off. The editing definitely affects how some of those moments land. The original series became so effective and well known because it didn't rely on fancy sets, big schools, or huge budgets. It was all about storytelling, direct camera work, and simple, intentional editing choices. That straightforward style made it impactful. But overall, this reset is absolutely worth watching. Becky, Bank, Sam, and the supporting cast all delivered strong performances. I can't wait to see more of Nano in the upcoming episodes. I saw Mook will appear soon, and the episode I'm most hyped for is the one with Jane. I really want to see Jane and Becky acting together in that Only Nano episode, which is kind of inspired by OnlyFans content. That's going to be exciting. And I completely condemn all the hate Becky is getting for this role. She's delivering a solid performance and she deserves appreciation, not unnecessary criticism just because previous actress isn't playing Nano. You never know, in future maybe some other actress play another version of Nano. We need to be more mindful with our words. Moving on, let's talk about Girls Rule by first off, what is wrong with GMM-TV? Seriously, I don't know how the behind-the-scenes deals even happen when it comes to choosing a platform to air shows internationally. I don't want to get sued for defamation, but the QYI app? Absolute nightmare. I bought a subscription to watch Earth series, and the captions were completely out of sync. Now fans want to watch Girls Rule, and they're running into geo restrictions and just a ton of headaches. Do they not monitor or test the apps before picking them for international airing? Like, what happened to releasing episodes on YouTube? That used to solve so many problems. You can see it yourself. A series airing on YouTube, even mid-series, still pulls huge numbers and engagement. My Only Sunshine is a perfect example. Okay, now the episode itself, I won't lie, the first few minutes made me feel like GMM-TV kind of rushed things, but it was amazing. I'm here for all the development happening in this series. The writing, on point, pacing, perfect. The performances by the actresses, absolutely delivering. And the kiss scene? In the trailer, it felt like maybe they were kissing but not really. Well, they kissed. And at the premiere, when fans watched it live, you could see Milk and Film's reactions. Girls were clapping. It was so good. But of course, this opened the floodgates for couple fan drama. Now I'm seeing tweets about protecting love, fans flooding her Instagram with hate comments, telling her to stop posting about the ghost ship and all that. Although I don't believe we're going to get another Prim and Goria kiss, I really hope that for couple fans who are deeply affected, to piss them off even more, we get another kiss. I'm sorry, but we really should be open to this. We need to give these actresses the freedom to collaborate with others. They are actresses. At the end of the day, you cannot lock them into a ship for the rest of their careers. You know what the consequences of that are. Just look at what's happening with Chinese BL actor Hee Chang-si. He acted in a high-budget drama Pursuit of Jade Sparks, and his face got swapped with another actor via deepfake before airing. He shot the whole drama, but his face still got swapped because he acted in a BL. This is a discussion going on in BL fandoms. There are many factors like Chinese censorship and social pressure, but the broader point is, do GL and BL actors really have to choose between playing gay roles and straight roles? Fans obsessively invested in couples are now trying to dictate and even censor GL actresses from acting with others. We saw this happening with Engfa, and we are seeing this with Love. Let's just not hate on Love for kissing Namtan, please. Jojo, the director of the show, shared with fans about the first episode, that scene where the character Bambi brings a birthday cake for her ex. What an insane thing to do, by the way. But Bambi is insane, so the whole scene where she tastes the cake with her fingers and shows a middle finger to Goria was improvised. It wasn't in the script at all. Bambi is a messy character, and I'm here for it. I think Film was the best choice for this role. Okay, funny thing, Prim is 25, and that's really hard to believe. I think Namtan's styling for this character could have been better. The best style for me is definitely Mim. She looks so good, like a straight girl. She had the best look in this episode. Milk is playing Shasha, this playgirl, famous model. But girl, she is not playing with girls. I don't know why, but in the very first opening scene, Shasha is kind of fixated on Goria. I want to see the full playgirl Milk, please. Maybe in the coming episodes, I'm hopeful. I liked the overall episode. I loved Preu's performance. I've criticized Mim's acting in the past, but this character feels very much like her. I'm excited to see how things unfold between Mim and Preu in the show. Overall, the show was good. I know GMM-TV fumbled with the MV of the Girls Rule OST. The 2-cent budget given to this OST was embarrassing, and they used the same OST budget for the whole intro as well. Why GMM-TV isn't spending money on girls? I don't know. They can't really defend themselves from misogyny allegations, but with whatever budget they're given, they did a good job. The writing is something I want to appreciate more. I love the conversation between Prim and Gloria. That was a breath of fresh air. Considering all the discourse around consent and drunk kisses in past weeks, they took note, and we appreciate that. By the way, I Wanna Be Superstar deleted that scene from one episode after Backlash and added it to the next episode. Change isn't changing anytime soon. But anyways, go watch Girls Rule if you haven't already. Next, we have an unusual mention on this channel. XO, Kitty. Now, the XO, Kitty trailer for its 3rd season has been released, and GL fans are pissed. So am I. I was sitting there, holding my pearls, waiting for Kitty and Yuri. But it's my fault for having expectations from Netflix, the same platform infamous for erasing or canceling shows featuring queer women and lesbians. Now, some of you might say, calm down, you're overreacting, it's just a trailer. Maybe the show handles it better. But fans are mad, and I'm going to talk about it. If you haven't watched the trailer yet, there is absolutely no, and I mean zero, interaction between Kitty and Yuri. Yes, Netflix really said F you to all the Sapphic fans. It feels like the Kitty and Yuri ship is basically doomed. And this isn't a new conversation actually, we kind of saw this coming. In the first 2 seasons, they built this potential love interest between Kitty and Yuri. 2 seasons, mind you. Only to explore Kitty's bisexuality, which is not wrong at all, but then they basically erased that bisexuality without really letting her explore it further. It ended up feeling like it was just a prop for the plot, quickly pushed aside in favor of the Kitty-Minho shipping. Fans are calling it disrespectful to erase Yuri's relevance like that because it makes the past queer elements feel like bait. And what happened to the love triangle? The entire trailer revolves around Kitty and Minho, while Yuri is almost completely muted in the trailer. Fans who rooted for Yuri are obviously upset. Some are even calling it homophobic. Personally, I don't necessarily think Kitty and Yuri were ever going to be endgame because it's a teenage coming-of-age Netflix series. But the way they seem to have erased Yuri and are possibly planning to completely sideline Kitty's bisexuality is concerning, and definitely worthy of criticism. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.